Dramatic situation from The Young and the Restless, Phyllis, Sharon and the Death Race. A tense, dramatic space when Phyllis and Sharon, two characters whose confrontations viewers are all too familiar with, now have to face a life-or-death situation. They are locked in a secret room, the surrounding space is nothing but darkness and vague sounds, as if someone is watching them from afar. In these moments, life and death can be just one wrong decision away. Phyllis, always known for her strong and sometimes somewhat unpleasant personality, suddenly becomes strange. She jumps and somersaults skillfully, of course not forgetting to bring a glass of water. This action of hers, seemingly meaningless, is an expression of a mood that is longing for control, an escape from the deadlocked situation they are facing. "What is it?" Sharon asked, her eyes fixed on Phyllis, searching for some clue to her strange behavior. Phyllis paused, stretching gracefully, then simply smiled mysteriously. "I won't tell you," she replied, looking as if she were the victor in some mysterious game. "If this game is winner takes all, then I'll definitely be the one going home." Sharon couldn't help but feel the irony in Phyllis's words, but she remained calm. "Why don't you stop playing the mean girl and grow up?" Sharon teased, but there was also a hint of worry. Even in this tense situation, Sharon couldn't ignore Phyllis's vocal nature. Phyllis looked at Sharon with a sharp gaze, then slowly said, "The answer is forgiveness." Her voice was firm, without any doubt. "Whoever is behind this kidnapping wants us both to make up." Sharon frowned, she was all too familiar with the hidden intrigue in Phyllis's conversations. "Forgive? Can you really forgive me?" Sharon asked, unable to hide the surprise in her voice. Phyllis, once again, shook her head. "I'd rather die than say, and mean, that I forgive you," she stated firmly, while Sharon could only look at her silently. "If the goal is to forgive each other, then that's definitely not going to happen with me," Phyllis said, her voice growing colder by the moment. Sharon didn't give up easily. "But what if that's the only way out of here?" she asked, trying to find a way out of Phyllis's implied words. Phyllis paused, her eyes becoming razor-sharp, and her voice couldn't help but carry a hint of sarcasm. "I could lie, but I think that monster will know I'm lying." Suddenly, Phyllis clutched her stomach and said anxiously, "I'm really sick." Sharon quickly sat her down on the chair, trying to check on Phyllis's condition. Phyllis leaned over, her face pale, and she began to guess that there might be something in the water or in the food that made her feel this way. Sharon hurriedly called their captor, demanding that he get Phyllis to medical attention immediately. There was a long silence that was only broken by a siren blaring from the loudspeaker. "I think you should start looking for an antidote," the captor's cold voice said through the loudspeaker. Sharon turned around, trying to search for the antidote in the surrounding water bottles. "I am the beginning and the end, so you can't see me," the voice said again, making Sharon even more nervous. However, she did not give up. She looked through the bottles, and finally found one with a label on the cap. "Here it is," Sharon exclaimed as she picked up the bottle. "I'm almost certain this is the antidote." She quickly handed the bottle to Phyllis, but there was something in Phyllis's eyes that made Sharon unable to be completely sure. "Drink this, Phyllis," Sharon said, but Phyllis looked at the antidote with obvious suspicion. The atmosphere became so heavy, so tense that no one dared to breathe heavily. Phyllis was faced with an important decision, perhaps a life-or-death decision. Would she take the antidote and continue living, or would she refuse and accept her fate? It all depended on the choices and decisions of this moment. For a moment, both women sat in silence, looking at each other, and in each other's eyes, there was an understanding of what had happened and was happening. Both Sharon and Phyllis know that whether they forgive each other or not, they still face greater threats from the people behind this kidnapping. And in this situation, life and death are not always in their hands. The race against time begins, and only the right decision can save them from this dangerous situation. In the unpredictable and suspenseful world of The Young and the Restless, no one can predict what will leave viewers more breathless than the return of a long-absent villain. And this time, the show's script has led us to a story full of surprises and intrigue: the sudden kidnapping of Sharon and Phyllis, leaving viewers and the characters on the show facing a series of questions that have yet to be clearly answered. Unbelievable kidnapping, Sharon and Phyllis in dangerous situation. Ever since Sharon and Phyllis mysteriously disappeared, everyone in the Genoa City community has been in a panic. What happened to them? Who is behind this kidnapping? The theories and situations surrounding the search for these two women have become increasingly tense. Not only do close friends like Nick and Billy try to connect and decipher the clues to bring Sharon and Phyllis back safely, but the whole story also opens up unpredictable issues about long-buried grudges. Nick and Billy, longtime friends, unexpectedly become allies in this complicated search. The two decide to work together to investigate, gradually discovering that Sharon and Phyllis's disappearance is related to a web of conspiracies they never imagined. Is this kidnapping the beginning of a serial murder case that we have never heard of? But not only Nick and Billy participate in this search, but also ghosts of the past begin to return, haunting them. This plot, meticulously constructed by the screenwriters, seems to be leading viewers into a maze of unrevealed secrets. Theories: who's behind the kidnapping? Since the disappearance of Sharon and Phyllis, many theories have been put forward to explain the reason behind this event. Those close to Sharon, especially Nick and Billy, have been suspicious of who could be behind this incident. Could it be Jordan and Ian, who have been a major threat to many in Genoa City? Or is there someone even more dangerous, who has quietly returned after a long absence? The writers of The Young and the Restless are known for their unexpected situations and dramatic twists, and this is certainly one of the stories that will keep viewers guessing. Patty Williams' scary return, new and old characters. What has left viewers most stunned and thrilled is probably the unexpected return of a long-absent villain, Patty Williams. In previous episodes, Patty, played by Stacey Hayduke, has been known for her erratic personality, with a series of crazy and dangerous actions. She is one of the most haunting villains in the history of The Young and the Restless, and now, her return will definitely change everything. Since Patty disappeared from the screen for a long time, the audience has been curious about the future of this character. Her appearance as the captor of Sharon and Phyllis is not only a big shock but also brings a new layer to the story. Could Patty have held terrible secrets related to these two characters from before? Patty is not new to Sharon. She has been a big threat to Sharon in the past, with messy relationships and fierce psychological battles. If Patty is indeed the one behind this kidnapping, then she is not just a villain but also has a deep hatred for Sharon and those around her. Nick and Billy's teaming up, a challenging quest. With the collaboration of Nick and Billy, the audience begins to see an interesting combination between these two characters. Previously, they were not the closest of friends, but in this urgent situation, both realized that they needed to put aside their differences and work together to rescue Sharon and Phyllis. Nick, with his sharp analytical and deductive skills, combined with Billy, who always knows how to look at situations from different angles, created the perfect team in tracking down the kidnapper. However, the deeper they go into the investigation, the more they realize that this case is not as simple as they thought. The clues leading to old names like Ian and Jordan are just the beginning, and as they get closer to the truth of the case, it becomes clear that there is a surprise return of a long-forgotten villain. Phyllis and Sharon, can they work together? Throughout these episodes, the relationship between Sharon and Phyllis becomes a key factor. The two women have always been sworn enemies, but in a dangerous situation like this, can they put aside their differences to cooperate and survive? Phyllis and Sharon, can they work together? Throughout these episodes, the relationship between Sharon and Phyllis becomes an important factor. These two women have always been sworn enemies, but in a dangerous situation like this, can they put aside their differences to cooperate and survive? Sharon and Phyllis, each with strong and determined personalities, have their own reasons for continuing to live and protect themselves. However, when faced with an unknown enemy, they are forced to join forces to find a way out of this dangerous situation. The question is whether they can truly work together and escape captivity, or will the tension in their relationship make things more complicated? An open-ended is certain that the return of Patty Williams and the kidnapping of Sharon and Phyllis will open a new chapter full of surprises on The Young and the Restless. The characters and viewers will have to face the truths that have not been revealed, and a series of dramatic situations await them ahead. But one thing is for sure, each subsequent episode will not only answer questions about the kidnapper, but also shed light on the complex and secret relationships between the characters in Genoa City. Will Nick and Billy be able to save Sharon and Phyllis before it's too late? Will the return of Patty Williams mark a new dark chapter in the characters' lives? Only time will tell, but the drama and unexpected twists will surely continue to keep viewers glued to the screen. The terrifying return of Patty Williams, relationships, motives, and thrilling plots in The Young and the Restless. In the chaotic world of The Young and the Restless, where buried secrets and complicated relationships dictate every move of the characters, a long-lost villain returns, bringing with him a series of terrifying revelations that could change the fate of those involved. The return of Patty Williams, a character with a tragic past and deep grudges, promises to open a dramatic chapter in the story, as she may be the one behind the horrific kidnapping of Sharon and Phyllis. But is Patty's motive revenge for past hurts, or is there a deeper conspiracy lurking? The complicated relationship between Patty, Sharon, and Phyllis. Patty Williams is no stranger to the history of The Young and the Restless. She is a woman with a tragic past, having gone through many harsh events. One of the things she has in common with Sharon and Phyllis is that their relationship was not always smooth and was often covered with personal conflicts. Patty and Sharon were both patients at a psychiatric facility, Fairview, where both women had to fight the ghosts of their past. However, while Sharon found her way to recovery, Patty could not overcome the wounds in her soul, leading to crazy actions later. Meanwhile, Phyllis, a strong and determined woman, had a relationship with Patty that not many people know about. A heartbreaking event in the past was that Patty poisoned Phyllis's daughter, Summer, to keep her away from Jack, who Patty believed would be a threat to her plans. This is an act that shows the selfishness and darkness in Patty's heart, and it not only reflects her hatred for Phyllis but also shows that Patty is capable of doing anything to protect her interests, no matter the cost. Heather's death and the motive behind the kidnapping. One of the important reasons that can explain Patty's crazy actions is the death of her niece, Heather. Heather was an important part of Patty's life, and her death caused a great shock to Patty. Even though Sharon was cleared of Heather's murder, Patty may still blame Sharon for what happened. She may believe that Sharon contributed to Heather's loss of life, even though the truth has been revealed. However, the story does not end there. Phyllis, in a tragic event, played an important role in bringing Heather back from Portugal to reunite with Daniel. However, instead of an emotional reunion, Heather's death came as a terrible shock, leaving Patty feeling that Phyllis had contributed greatly to her niece's death. Patty may have believed that if Phyllis had not intervened, Heather would still be alive in Portugal, and that was an undeniable haunting in her mind. The complicated relationship between Patty, Sharon, and Phyllis. Patty Williams is no stranger to the history of The Young and the Restless. She is a woman with a tragic past, having gone through many harsh events. One of the things she has in common with Sharon and Phyllis is that their relationship was not always smooth and was often covered by personal conflicts. Patty and Sharon were once patients at a psychiatric facility, Fairview, where both women had to fight the ghosts of their past. However, while Sharon found a way to recovery, Patty could not overcome the wounds in her soul, leading to crazy actions later. Meanwhile, Phyllis, a strong and determined woman, had a relationship with Patty that not many people know about. A painful event in Patty's past is that she poisoned Phyllis's daughter, Summer, to keep her away from Jack, who she believed was a threat to her plans. This is an act that shows the selfishness and darkness in Patty's heart, and it not only reflects her hatred for Phyllis but also shows that Patty is capable of doing anything to protect her interests, no matter the cost. Heather's death and the motive behind the kidnapping. One of the important reasons that can explain Patty's crazy actions is the death of her niece, Heather. Heather was an important part of Patty's life, and her death was a huge shock to Patty. Even though Sharon was cleared of Heather's murder, Patty may still blame Sharon for what happened. She may believe that Sharon contributed to Heather's loss of life, even though the truth has been revealed. However, the story does not end there. Phyllis, in a tragic turn of events, plays a key role in bringing Heather back from Portugal to reunite with Daniel. However, instead of an emotional reunion, Heather's death comes as a terrible shock, leaving Patty feeling that Phyllis was largely responsible for her niece's death. Patty may believe that if Phyllis had not intervened, Heather would still be alive in Portugal, and it is an undeniable haunting in her mind. Paul and the unspoken pain Heather's death affects not only Patty but also her brother, Paul. Paul, a man who always valued family and relationships, faces unbearable pain when he loses Heather. The death of this young girl causes Paul to suffer a heart attack, a tragedy that leaves him mentally and physically devastated. Therefore, Patty's actions towards Sharon and Phyllis could be a form of revenge for the pain her brother suffered. Patty may feel that the people she blames for Heather's death, including Sharon and Phyllis, deserve to suffer the same way Paul did. Was Patty behind the kidnapping, or was there something else behind it? While Sharon and Phyllis are still missing, and the story continues to grow more mysterious, viewers cannot help but wonder if Patty was behind the kidnapping. The strange circumstances and the strained relationship between her and the other two women make it impossible not to think that Patty could be the culprit. However, is she really the kidnapper or just part of a larger conspiracy that has yet to be revealed? If Patty is indeed behind the kidnapping, her motive could be revenge for Heather's death. Patty may want to punish Phyllis and Sharon for what she believes they did. However, in the world of The Young and the Restless, things are never that simple. The show's writers are known for their unpredictable twists, and it's possible that the truth about this kidnapping could be much more complicated. Another possibility is that Patty isn't the only culprit. There could be another villain pulling the strings behind the scenes. People like Ian, Jordan, or characters who have had a feud with Phyllis and Sharon can't be ruled out either. While Patty is a prominent villain, the story could take us into a spiral of unrevealed truths, and no one can predict who is behind it all. Dramatic finale: will Patty really get her revenge? The drama on The Young and the Restless never fails to amaze viewers, and this kidnapping is sure to be no exception. Will Patty succeed in avenging Paul's pain? Will Sharon and Phyllis be able to escape the kidnapper's clutches and find freedom? The answer remains to be seen, but one thing is for sure: viewers will be glued to the screen as the twists and turns continue to unfold. With a thrilling plot, full of unexpected twists and mysterious characters, the return of Patty Williams promises to make The Young and the Restless continue to be one of the must-see shows, bringing moments of suspense and tension.